I'm gonna share the two biggest lessons that I learned from Jay Abraham, who's one of the top marketing consultants in the world. And I learned these lessons back in 2019. I went to a private mastermind. It was actually at the Ritz Carlton in France. Incredible environment. I remember being there, soaking up and absorbing all of the content that Jay had, but I asked him two specific questions and he gave me two answers that have really allowed my business to grow. We were named number 60 on the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing companies in America. And in the last 3 years, since that 2019, we've grown 6,052%. Now, I'm not attributing all of that growth to what I learned here. However, these lessons have been very valuable. And what I wanna do is I wanna share these two lessons with you today because I really think this is valuable for yourself, your own business, wherever you're at. These genuinely are two of the most valuable lessons that I've learned. So the first, I asked Jay a question. I was asking him what I should do next. At the time, my business was doing about $200,000 a month. I had one main salesperson and myself. I also was spending about $25,000 a month in ad spend to do that $180 to $240 or so $1,000 per month that I was doing. And so, we had a pretty solid return, between 8 and 10x per month. And so we had that return, we had that team. That was kind of the foundation of the question. So I gave him some examples. We were talking about, how we were helping people with YouTube ads and video marketing. I was saying, well, I'm really looking for that next phase of growth. What do you recommend? He thought about it for a second, and the first thing he asked me, and this was the first question that led into the next question. He asked me, well, why not spend more money on ads? I sat for a second, and of course now I look back and I say it's kind of funny because I ask people the same thing, but I remember thinking before, well, I don't know. We've just been increasing month over month, a little bit on ads, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And so I said, well, I don't know. And I also talked about the sales team. Right now we're at capacity. I have a full calendar. My salesperson has a full calendar. I don't know. We don't have the capacity to take more on these calls. He thought about that for a second. He addressed the first problem. First, he said, why are you taking any sales calls? Is that actually the best and highest use of your time to do these calls? And is it scalable? Is it gonna scale for you to be able to do these amount of calls to be able to hit the milestones? Because the next milestone was 500,000 a month and $1 million a month. And I realized, well, wait a second, that's not scalable for me to take all these calls because I was spending my time on these calls instead of working on the business. What's more valuable, working on the big picture of the business or taking these individual calls? It was this very valuable lesson where I started learning about, well, wait a second, I shouldn't be doing any of these calls. He told me, you shouldn't take a single call. And so what I was able to do is then hire a sales team that could take these calls. But the other part of this, and the even bigger lesson that I learned from Jay, was to do with yield and results from ads. And this is really important. If you're watching this is one of the biggest lessons that you absolutely should learn. So now, once we alleviate that burden, we say, okay, now we're gonna have multiple salespeople, not myself taking these calls. He said, let's break down a little bit where you're at. You're spending $25,000 a month to make 180 to 200,000. So 25,000, 200,000 comes out. Why not spend 50,000? What would happen if you spent 50,000? Well, I said, so we spend 50,000. Well, the best case technically would be 400,000. But what's a realistic case? Well, let's just say 350,000. So lower ROAS, still a higher margin, a higher gross margin in return. Well, what's the maximum downside? Well, the maximum downside is we spend an extra $25,000 on ads and we don't make anything from those ads. Very, very unlikely, right? But the maximum downside is losing that 25,000. What's a realistic, bad case scenario? Not a realistic scenario, but a bad case scenario. Well, maybe we get a 2x. So we make 50,000 on the 25,000. So your realistic bad case scenario is you double your money, and your best case scenario is you make 7 times. Are you seeing what we're seeing here? That's what's called risk arbitrage. So there's this concept of risk arbitrage where you can risk less to yield more. And you wanna take that bet every single time. And the reason for that is that's what's gonna allow you to actually take those risks to see the growth, but the risk is stacked in your favor. Imagine being at a casino where you had the house edge. You owned the casino. You knew that you had the advantage in every bet that you make. That's what you have when you assess a risk arbitrage. It's the opposite in an actual casino. You know you're actually making a losing bet with every single bet. Now, yes, you could win individual hands, you could win individual spins or whatever it is, but Over the long term, it's gonna be a net loss because you actually have a negative risk arbitrage. In this case, you have a positive risk arbitrage. You actually have this extra value where you risk less and stand to return more. Now, is it possible to lose what you invest? Yes. But that's on the lower end of probability. So what you wanna do is you wanna look at and say, wait a second, we have such a big opportunity here. There's such a risk arbitrage opportunity here that you wanna spend more. And so it does start with having campaigns and having ads that work really well. However, what I learned here is to take those risks where you know you're on the winning side of the bet. And I started doing that more and more. And sure enough, we started scaling up faster and faster and faster. So within 3-4 months, we were over $500,000 a month. And then within another year after that, we were at $1 million. And it's really exciting. And so that's how we were able to see over the last 3 years, 6,052% growth, landing number 60 on the Inc. 5000 list, the fastest growing companies in America. Goes back to these lessons. The two big lessons are, first, you wanna make sure that you pull yourself out of the day-to-day weeds and operations of your business. Your time is more valuable than the individual execution. You should focus high level and then hire more people to execute. Even if they don't perform as well as you do, you can't expect them to. All you can do is try and get them as high caliber as possible and just factor that into your equation. Then from there, the second thing is to look for risk arbitrage opportunities and to ask yourself, why not spend more? Why not grow? Why not do more? What would happen if this happened? What's the best case? What's the worst case? Outline that. And if you see a risk arbitrage opportunity, then that's one you want to seize. And a great way you can do this, by the way, if you want to kind of worksheet this out yourself, if you're looking at a potential increase of ad spend, look at what you'd look to increase the spend, map out your absolute best case scenario, but base it on data, right? What you're currently seeing, your absolute worst case scenario, which usually is going to be the loss of that initial capital. And then what's your most realistic best case, your most realistic negative case, and then right in the middle, you're gonna find the average, most likely scenario. And if that average is multiples over what you're investing, you've got a risk arbitrage opportunity and you should make that bet every single time. Again, as long as your business can sustain it, so you're not making those bets every month, you wanna make sure, check those boxes. Yes, we can handle more clients. Yes, we have more salespeople to fill their calendars, because that's a real problem. Sales calendars get completely stacked and then you have to hire more people, you gotta train them up, and it becomes a whole thing itself. Great problem to have. But you really wanna look at, am I evaluating the risk reward and do I have a risk arbitrage? And that's gonna allow you to scale and grow. But to have that, you need to make sure that your marketing and your ads are efficient and working properly. And that's exactly what we help businesses with. The exact same strategies we've used to scale 6,052% in the last 3 years are the strategies that we wanna help you with as well. So I'm gonna post some of those resources down below, but one of the best is we have our YouTube ads webinar, where we dive in to show you exactly how you can use YouTube ads to get consistent leads and sales, grow your business to 7 or even 8 figures and beyond. I'll also post a link to our PDF below, our YouTube ads PDF. So if you prefer written style, reading it, and then of course you can book a strategy call with our team to see if YouTube ads are a good fit for you as well. Once you start investing in those ads, you can start building out that risk arbitrage. You can invest more, you can spend more. One of our clients, Zan, he just shared that he is spending $200,000 a month on ads, and right now he's getting a 12x return. I bet you can guess what my question to him was. Why not spend more on ads? It's incredible when you see these returns on YouTube ads, and that's what I want to help you with as well. So if you're looking for the exact same thing, so what you can do is you can book a call down below and we can map out exactly what this looks like for you. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share the video with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.